Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast, episode 565. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I am with Connor Farley. What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, Gloria?
Hello.
What's up, Mike D?
What's up?
Okay, so a lot happened this past weekend, and David Tennant was in New York at Marvel Comics building. He's taking pictures of everybody because he's going to be in the Jessica Jones Netflix show. And he was also taking pictures with Dan Slott, who is the writer of Amazing Spider-Man, and then he went to conventions. There was a convention that he went to where he flat out said that something that fans were not aware of, okay? He's like, for all intents and purposes, Rose Tyler was the Doctor's girlfriend, okay? Even flat out things that he even said to Martha Jones or Donna Noble, we were together. Like something like saying we were together, meaning, even though they didn't kiss, even though they didn't that was his girlfriend flat out. There's been a lot of interpretations about Doctor Who lately. Moffat seemed to interpret David Tennant's era when he didn't even was showrunner for it in a way that was not appropriate to what Russell T Davies had said, and it caused the two to be in conflict. Well, David Tennant, who better than to hear it from David Tennant, who's a doctor himself, because you really can't question what he says to be not true, because he was the Doctor, and Russell T Davies backs him, and he was a showrunner. So David Tennant flat out said that Rose Tyler, he loved Rose Tyler. Rose Tyler loved him. He was gonna say it.
I always assumed it, so
yeah, I knew it. It's like everybody knows it. They didn't come out and say it, but everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So
It's what ruined Series 2.
Well, before we go on,
That and some flimsy writing. There was a bit of flimsy writing going on in that, actually.
Right, but before we go into that, because that could be a discussion for the week, it was flat out, everybody knew it, and Moffat did every attempt as a writer to create other love interests for the Doctor to totally screw up that relationship, and basically tried too hard, because every time he wrote for the Doctor, he created Madame de Pompadour, River Song. It's like you're creating someone.
Not that those aren't good. It's just that, yeah.
Well, no, they were great episodes, but it seemed to me that he was trying to get Rose out of the picture and put somebody else in her place, and it didn't work all the time. Madame de Pompadour died and everything, in River Song, it was like you created this ionic character, but you got the impression that he was always in love with Rose, but he wasn't in love with River. Okay, where River was in love with him. So, then he.
And at the end, it did seem like he is, because of
Right.
the way he goodbye to her. Like he does. It's just, he's had love before. He's had the original wife. He had, Rose, and then now,
Even Clara almost, like they were going to become something, too.
Yeah.
But do you have the article on that, Connor, or no?
Yeah.
All right, so
You pretty much covered it. You pretty much covered it, to be honest. All he says is, that he thinks that he was, Rose was definitely his girlfriend in it, and that, he doesn't think that no one picked up on it, which is bollocks.
That's stupid. I picked up on it.
We've known for 9 or 10 years that that Rose and Ten are the closest that the Doctor has ever got to a companion, which, again, I say ruined Series 2, but I'll get into that in a bit. He just said that, and then he went on about, how every week he had already read the script, so he knew what was going to happen when he was the Doctor, and now it's just nice that he can be a fan again.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And there's going to be a Moffat response.
Yeah.
It's common.
He's going to say that, like, off air, off the screen, Capaldi shagged Coleman or something.
That's terrible.
Yeah, like
Terrible.
secretly 12 and
Kind of
12
like,
and
what?
Clara had a
That's just.
Yeah, like he's gonna say
I,
something so ridiculously left field, like 12 cheated
he's
on.
gonna say, "Oh, I didn't even talk about Vastra's relationship with the Doctor," and you'd be like, "Oh,
I bet you he will
What?
say.
I
he
bet
will
you'll say that."
I bet you he will say that Clara cheated on Danny with 12 because
That's terrible. Terrible.
ridiculous.
Yeah, let's just go back to science fiction, okay? Instead of like the fantasy or the soap opera.
Yeah. Well,
What do you think, Mike?
it's Moffat's way of writing. Terrible.
Wow, I mean, there's a lot to cover with that. It's kind of like I'm sitting here collecting my thoughts actually about the whole thing between Dr. Ten and Rose. I think the thing with the girlfriend is it seems like, I guess, like, just to jump in with the starting place here, that Chris might have to mute his audio. It's kind of distracting a little bit.
Well, I mean, if
Oh,
All right, thanks. That's all right. Sorry, Chris, but your audio in the background's kind of like, it's tough to talk over. What I was going to say was, speaking of Madame de Pompadour, it seems like she always seemed to me to be a bit more of a better match to the Doctor than Rose. And with going with a couple of thoughts here, that a lot of times, like you were talking about River Song, and he married River Song, correct?
Well, Moffat's saying no, he didn't.
but I think he's doing that for a reason.
So, but
Well,
go
I was
ahead.
going to say he could have like a long lost sort of love for someone, because like a lot of times, like, the heart yearns for that of which we don't have or can't have, like a long unrequited sort of love. That could be what Rose is, because of the circumstances in which he lost her, looking back. But maybe he didn't realize the full degree of which he actually was really involved with her emotionally.
Oh, he knew. Dude,
No,
he ran to her and stole
During
Earth.
that time, though.
No, I'm saying until after all of that occurred, because he
Right.
still could have had feelings and stuff like that. But see, a lot of times people don't know what they have till they lost it.
Exactly that.
And we have like the Doctor, like we've had close relationships between the Doctor and female companions, like Pertwee and Joe Grant and Tom Baker and Sarah Jane. And
Pertwee was crushed. Like the doctor,
He was
third
crying.
doctor was
he had a
crushed.
tear. Yeah.
The third doctor was crushed. Was it the Green Death?
Yes.
He was crushed when Joe was going to get married to the guy. I mean, destroyed. Literally
That's
destroyed.
I thought that was what was quite similar with Clara and Danny and 12, because if Clara had gone off with Danny, I think that's exactly how 12 would have felt. Like he was somehow betrayed.
Guys, just continue for 2 minutes. I think.
Yeah.
Sure. With
He did say, beat that for a date, or something like that. Whenever Danny, got to take her somewhere or whatever, and then he took her on an adventure, and then he brought her back, and he's like, beat that for a date, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been kind of that seemed like a little bit of a pissing contest almost in a way, but like with Madame de Pompadour, there was such a tragic thing from the Doctor's point of view that it seems like it had that much more resonance with him, especially with Dr. Ten being the tragic Doctor. That it seems like de Pompadour was like a lot more kind of on level with him. Rose was always kind of like the girl, like the girl next door, who was kind of like more of like the everyday type girl that he just kind of brought along on an adventure, and it just seems like the Doctor. It seems like the Doctor, he operates more on such an intellectual level of things. He almost needs somebody who's kind of on par with that, and it seems like somebody like de Pompadour fit that better than, thanks Gloria, than Rose. Sorry, Chris, but it's very loud where you're at right now, so we're going to wait till it quiets down a little bit on your end. So just stick on here if you would. It's just it's kind of distracting talking over all that background noise right now. So just hang in there, buddy. Um, but in a way also, like you said, the doctor, we know that he's had a wife at some point because he's got a granddaughter. Unless he didn't get married, and therefore it's just a mother of the granddaughter. We don't know the circumstances of which that occurred with Susan, so we don't really know what transpired there. But the doctor obviously has feelings, and we know that he develops love interests and stuff like that.
River's very equal with him a lot, because, I mean, she may have been just part-time Lord because of how she was conceived and everything, but she's very, sometimes I think of her as being kind of equal with him, not 100%
Right.
equal. She's always, like, she knows how to fly the TARDIS and everything. She kind of gets him, understands him. So in a way, it's like River's even, kind of with par with him, like you're saying, like how Madame the Parpadar seems, or, like that, it's that kind of dynamic, I guess, relationship dynamic.
Well, and it's interesting with the doctor too, because as with anyone, I mean, the doctor actually could be a lot more human than we give him credit for, because he could have a lot of multi-level type feelings in different avenues when it comes to like what attracts him as far as females, because on one level he would be attracted to somebody who's more his intellectual equivalent, but on another level he could be for somebody it's kind of like the bird with the broken wing syndrome, kind of taking in somebody and kind of like helping them out and kind of developing a romance with them in that regards. But then you have another where it's kind of like he's kind of like the hero, like with Rose, where it's like, hey, come with me, let's be traveling partners together. So he's a very complex sort of individual, regardless of what incarnation he's in. So I think that maybe upon first hearing that, you kind of like go, well, whatever, that sounds kind of silly, but actually I stopped myself and kind of went back and said, well, that makes a little bit of sense, because maybe Doctor Number 10 was at a place where Rose actually was somebody that would have been very important to him in the regards of maybe being like a potential love interest, like a girlfriend.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what how I see it. Every incarnation has different, even in when it comes to relationships with romantic potential, and everything. Like every one of them has a different taste.
And that's not to say that John Pertwee might not have had the same feelings towards Joe Grant, but he recognized that there was an age difference there. Whereas with Tennant and Rose, he saw, hey, we're not that far off compatibility-wise, with age, and there was enough of a closeness there age-wise, as well as other things.
But even like I was saying before, I said like in Stolen Earth, when he knew what he lost, and then when she returned, he ran to her. Like the hell with whoever's around him, he ran to her, and that was it.
That scene. Oh no.
What?
No, don't talk about that scene. Horrible. No, there was so many reasons why.
That was great.
It was No, it was horrible.
Oh.
It was horrible.
And you know what the best was?
And when he was in the Dalek ship. Wait.
Well, you know what the best was?
Let me finish. In the Dalek ship, with Davros, he was giving her all these looks, and it was just like, can you just please be respectful? Because there was Sarah Jane and people there. People that were really close to the Doctor in the past, and now suddenly Rose is being magnified as goddess to the Doctor,
Listen, when you're in love, Connor, you find a way. Love finds a way, and he found a way to regenerate without changing his face because of love. There you go. Makes you do crazy things.
Vanity. Also, he even said it was vanity.
There's no vanity. Rose didn't want to regenerate. He's like, all right. Just start throwing the energy into their hands.
If she loved him, she wouldn't have cared what he looked like. So, I mean, look at it. She had feelings for 9. When he regenerated, she got used to 10. So it's like she would have got used to another face if he changed it. He was just stuck on that face.
Right. I know.
But yeah. I also like the whole, oh man, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something really cool. I like I want to see the dynamic between 12 and River because we get the dynamic like Mike was saying about the different ways that each incarnation kind of feels about different people. Well, with 12, I'm starting to come to the to the thought maybe 12 is River's doctor, and I would so want to see that dynamic so much.
And by the way, we haven't even begun to touch upon Doctor Number 11 and Amy, right?
I love that friendship. That deep friendship was kind of weird because of she kind of hit on him and kissed him and everything the night before wedding.
I think in a lot of ways the Doctor also is rather manic, and that probably has to do with just his core personality. Like sometimes he's got like an affinity towards a particular companion, but like another incarnation, he's got an affinity towards a totally different sort of dynamic personality-wise when it comes to like a female, because like River and Rose really don't have anything in common, but yet the same character, the Doctor, was drawn towards those. If Rose was his girlfriend and had enough in her to warrant that label from the Doctor, then so River, he married River. So it would
the two different incarnations.
Yeah.
And he even Tin kind of was intrigued by River too, even in Silence in the Library and Force of the Dead. He was like and he was already really protective of her by the end whenever she wanted to do that, and he's like, no, please don't, so it's like, it's like all, but yeah, I look at how the dynamics is different. It makes it very interesting. It's not boring.
It's very interesting.
How's it still too noisy?
It seems a little bit better on your end, Chris. It's quite interesting to note, though, that over like such a long period of the series, we have like Susan, and then we have Susan, we have Jo Grant, we have Sarah Jane. In the classic series, those seem to be the only three companions you really had like an affinity for, where you weren't quite sure if this person was like a friend or somebody you really had romantic leanings towards. Because like with Ace, for example, with Doctor Number 7, you could tell that Ace really was like a friend. There was no romantic interest there. Dr. 7 was just kind of bringing her along, kind of like showing her the world and wanting to experience the world with her and adventures and having fun and sharing that together. But like, we have well, I said Susan. We have, Susan's mom, I should say. I'm sorry, I made a mistake by saying Susan. That's what I was referencing. Otherwise, it'd be incest, of course. I was meaning Susan's mom. But Susan's mom, Jo Grant, Sarah Jane. Can you think of anyone else in the classic series that you had a feeling that the Doctor was actually romantically tied to, like in his mind, where he was kind of like,
Okay, well, one thing, Susan's mother would have been his daughter.
Or daughter-in-law.
Or his son
Oh,
would have been
that's right.
Yeah.
I'm almost sorry.
Right. No, I didn't mean to correct you there, but
No, I'm glad you did.
That's the granddaughter, right?
Yeah.
So it could have been his son that had got married and had Susan, or the daughter, which we don't know.
Well, see, that's why I messed up with this, because we haven't alluded to this individual, who the hell they are. So I'm kind of like, blue. I mean, the person who is Susan's grandmother is the person I was referring to. So thank you again. That's
Read the side, Mike. Read the side.
All right. Let me see this.
Yeah, that's a funny picture. Read the side. I'll put on the side on the chat.
Oh, jeez. All right, hold on.
Yeah. We don't promote that on the real podcast.
That
only works in certain parts of Alabama. So.
I have a suggestion for a new companion for the Doctor. I think it should be Bubbles. Michael Jackson's chimpanzee. The chimpanzee's still alive. He's in a zoo somewhere, retired. The poor thing needs some adventure.
All right, thanks, Chris. Thank you. Thanks, Gloria.
That was Connor this time.
Oh, anyways, to get back on the topic.
My mind. That's really weird. I have the power of mind control or whatever.
Yeah, it's really loud over there, Chris, on the train there you're on or the bus or whatever. So, but yeah, it's kind of weird because my initial reaction, my initial reaction is when I heard that. I will admit the thing about David Tennant announcing that Rose was a girlfriend was right away. I'm kind of like, this isn't the Doctor we know. He wouldn't have a girlfriend. But then I had to step back and go, you know what? Like, yeah, you would.
Yeah, you would.
It makes sense with David Tennant's Doctor or Matt Smith's, between those two, that yeah, he would have those sorts of connections because they're more in that younger set where they would kind of mesh more with those companions. And that's not to say that like Pertwee or Tom Baker wouldn't have either, but
well, you know what? I could take that from a different spin, actually.
Okay.
I can take it from the spin that with the Ninth Doctor, okay, he just came off from the Time War, losing all his people, losing everybody. There's not a Time Lord alive, no one from his kind that he ever would settle down with. All right, a lonely existence. Okay, here it is. The first place he goes to after he regenerates is to Earth. He gets Rose. She travels with him. She tries to make him see that he can't be all like hating every race and try to open him up to what he used to be. Okay, he gets very close to her that when the Dalek says, "Would you kill the woman you loved?" he never disputed that. And even if you ask Christopher Eccleston said that his doctor was in love with Rose Tyler, which confirms David Tennant that even though he regenerates, he's still in love with Rose Tyler. And David Tennant's incarnation of the Doctor is now relaxed, regenerated from evolving from the benefit of Rose Tyler, and he's the most comfortable in his own skin as a Time Lord. Okay, because now the Earth is his home. There's no more Gallifrey. Okay, so he is more human. He is less alien, more human, has that love, compassion, okay? And that's what it is. That's why his doctor, he didn't want to regenerate because he was the most comfortable in that form.
Actually, we have to thank Rose for the fact that she got him out of that, because if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for him falling in love with Rose, he would have never fell in love with River, and all that. So it's like, for me, I'm actually happy. That's why I love Rose's character. She was good for him at that. At that point, he needed it. So, and that's why the moment is her face. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Con?
One quick thing. I think Steve Jobs.
What?
Steve Jobs is a Cyberman. That's all.
Right, why is it saying I muted him when I didn't mute him?
No idea.
Oh my god. Scary. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's
the other article?
What other article?
Wasn't there another article you had about Series 9?
Oh, there was one. It wasn't an article. It was a tweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish off what you were going to say first.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I wasn't going to add anything of importance anyway. They are finishing Block 2 this week, and on about Wednesday, Thursday, possibly even Friday. They're starting Block 3 of filming, which is going to be Episode 5.
So Block 3 of filming is the scary episode of Mark Gatiss, or no?
I think it's going to be Tregenna's and that Gatiss. Great.
Right. Okay. Now, I find it interesting how Mark Gatiss is writing the episode now when it wasn't written already.
That happened last year.
Yeah.
They only had one half of the series completed by the time filming started.
So that is interesting because I thought he wrote something else already. I thought he did 2 scripts last year that was held over. One was held over. No?
No. I think it was just a backup for Series 8 in case anything kind of like fell through.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody's thoughts? So now the new block, we don't know what episodes it's going to be?
Episode 5.
This new block is just episode 5?
Episode 5 and something else. Probably
Okay, so,
episode 6.
so 2 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Chris? Okay. Chris,
Okay,
just
sorry if I'm so noisy. I know it's noisy on the train. I think that Steve Jobs as a Cyberman as a companion might be interesting. I don't know, just for giggles and grins.
okay. Okay. Connor, why don't you read your article?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'll summarize it first. This article is basically about how I think that Moffat can improve Capaldi's Doctor by taking influence from Hinchcliffe's era as producer, so 1975 to 77.
And you sent this to Doctor Who TV UK, right?
Yeah.
And this is your second.
This will be my second article if it gets published. Publication of articles is not always assured.
I think it will get published, but go ahead.
I hope so. But yeah, so that's basically what it's about. I'll read it out. Horror Who Part 2. Hinchcliffe and Holmes' influence and Capaldi. We are fast approaching the 10th anniversary of the first episode of New Who Rose, airing on 26th of March 2005. Over New Who's 10-year run, there haven't been many things to gripe about for fans. The production values of the show have been better than the classics, the special effects, and also, in some instances, the monsters from week to week. However, the chief grievance from most Whovians is the quality of writing we've had, expressly in the current Moffat era. Subjectively, if I was to ostracize the Moffat era of 2010 to current, I would concur with the complaints of the fans. I recognise Matt Smith's tenure as the 11th Doctor to be a tremendous letdown, as his Doctor's characteristics and some of the plots in his episodes did not appeal to me as a fan. That said, Moffat did reinstate himself with 3 unbelievable scripts in Capaldi's first series as the 12th Doctor: Deep Breath, Listen, and Dark Water. While I felt Moffat's 4th script of the last series, Death in Heaven, was lacking real plot, I found Dark Water to be especially compelling for the full 45 minutes, and it made me want to hope that Doctor Who would uniformly be as evocative and eerie as that episode was in the future. In stark disparity to Moffat's recent endeavours, I want readers to cast their minds back to the 13th season of classic Doctor Who, the second with the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker, and the first with Philip Hinchcliffe as producer and Robert Holmes as script editor. Barry Letts and Terence Dix, another famous pairing, had departed the show after Genesis of the Daleks, one of the most celebrated Who stories of all time. They both left on what they deemed was an unbeatable high. However, in my mind, what came subsequently was far more exciting for Doctor Who. The assignment of 29-year-old Philip Hinchcliffe into the position of producer, and then established Doctor Who writer Robert Holmes as Dix's replacement. Hinchcliffe was the youngest producer of Doctor Who at the time to be appointed. He was a young fellow with brilliant ideas, and ideas that would, for 2 whole seasons of Doctor Who, prove to be Einstein ideas. Having worked already on the Doctor Who team the previous season, from Robot to Genesis of the Daleks, adjacent to then producer Barry Letts, Hinchcliffe's aspiration for the already popular science fiction show was to make it more adult and more disturbing for the viewers at home. Alongside his most esteemed writer Robert Holmes, Hinchcliffe took influences from his favourite genre of movie, Hammer horror, and successful horror novels such as Frankenstein, The Tempest, and comprising Victorian Gothic horror in The Tales of Weng Chiang. He made the show itself notably viewable for the preponderance of viewers, but he relished in playing with the extremes, such as with violence, so most children were not encouraged to view. Each story, from Terror of the Zygons to The Tales of Weng Chiang, was intense, atmospheric, and immersed in iniquity and mystery. Hinchcliffe's style of storytelling with Who may not have appealed to the children's viewers of the show, but the victory of it overall was self-evident in the viewing numbers each week, invariably peaking at 10 million viewers. with the peak being part 1 of The Robots of Death in 1977. Hinchcliffe's influence embedded into Holmes's pure narrative was a match made in horror and television heaven. So, based on the success, in my eyes, of Dark Water as an episode in Series 8, I'm going to take a look at how I think bringing back influences from horror, like in 1975 to 77 under Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes, would intensify Capaldi's 12th incarnation of the Doctor. Initially, the re-emergence of horror influences back into Doctor Who would enhance Capaldi's Doctor's characteristics. Even Stephen Moffat himself said Capaldi magnifies anything that is dark in the most recent interview in Doctor Who magazine. This would cater to Peter because the horror influences would mostly overrun any other aspect of the prose, and so allow Capaldi to feel confident with playing the gloomy Scotsman he portrays as his incarnation. In turn, Capaldi's magnification of the darker aspects of episodes would further put attention on the importance of whatever is at stake in the adventure that particular week. With the way in which Capaldi's Doctor is acting, it would intensify the situation and make it much more compelling and shocking to the viewer, especially if something left field, such as a central or supporting character dying unexpectedly, happens in the story. In short, it would play more to the great depths of Capaldi as an actor and the manner of his Doctor. The embodiment of horror influences would also improve the quality of the monstrosities that the Doctor is facing on a more consistent basis. While in New Who, the monsters have tended to feel very modern and fun, in addition to scary, there have been some notable flops in the pile over the years. Need I mention the Absorbaloff of the Series 2 episode Love and Monsters, and the Slovene from Series 1, both of which look remarkably comparable in form. Recently, monsters have been appearing that would pass as scary monsters that could be included in the most frightening adventures of Who from the 70s, and still hold up well in some respects. These include the Weeping Angels, the Clockwork Droids of Series 8, and the Teller from Series 8. If Moffat was to start taking influence from Gothic horror and other forms of horror, we might see fewer shoddy monsters and more scary and relatable monsters, examples including mutations of human life and wild animalistic alien forms of life. In conclusion, if Moffat was to consider an air of darkness for future series with Peter Capaldi, like he attempted half-heartedly in Series 8, and if he aspired to get more scares out of the fans for more compelling viewing, he only needs to look at what Philip Hinchcliffe did for the show. He may also find his writing begins to get more intense and exciting, which was necessary for an extended period of time. I heartily believe that by doing this, he would be operating more to the strength of Capaldi and the 12th Doctor themselves, and it would make him a possible fan favourite with Tom Baker, which is what Moffat has been trying to push since 2013. Here's to a second reign of Horror Who in the future.
Absolutely fantastic. I gotta say that the way you pieced that whole article together, just like your first article, it's very impressive, and you're gonna have a long career in writing and journalism and everything, Connor. I gotta say, from the bottom of my heart, you are absolutely amazing, bro.
Thanks.
Absolutely amazing.
So what did you think about what I was actually trying to get across in the article?
The only thing is Moffat is not going to do it.
Well, yeah.
Moffat. That's the only thing. I mean, that sucks is that Moffat finds a way to screw things up lately, and he doesn't listen to anybody, dude. I mean, he'll think he listens to us, and then he'll do something completely wrong, and then that's the way he is. He's not going to listen. And he's going to turn this season into a laughable, comedic, performance for Peter Capaldi. He's going to make him funny.
It was okay with Matt, but not with Capaldi. He's not that kind of doctor.
Yeah, he's going to make. He's going to make Capaldi. I don't know. I don't even think that they're getting along. First of all, but honestly, Connor, he should follow that advice, but he's not gonna.
Exactly. I do think, though, that, people do need to start paying more attention to what Philip Hinchcliffe gave to the show, because what he did was he made Doctor Who,
Right.
based on the pure fact that science fiction shouldn't really be light-hearted. I think there are certain elements of science
But
fiction.
it's dark, yeah.
It's dark. It's a dark narrative, and I do
Right.
think that people need to stop trying to think that it's all light and fluffy, because
You know what I never understood?
it's not.
You know what I never understood? I never understood why, with 52 years Doctor Who, right? Why did they never tackle that the Doctor tries to get to the bottom of these aliens that all look the same, like the alien abduction type of thing?
Yeah.
Like that race of alien that people think they've seen, that's got to be a race in Doctor Who that he could just play with and say, finally he just gets to the bottom of it. Who the hell are you? What are you trying to do? And that could be like a scary, scary thing.
Yeah, and that would also be playing with the fears of the viewer, which would make it more compelling and viewable, blah, 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 like I said in the article.
Especially if he was abducted.
Yeah.
At the moment, like, when he was abducted, they didn't know he's a Time Lord, and then he whips out the sonic screwdriver and scares the crap out of them. I mean, he'd be screaming, "Oh, you want to be abducted now?" It's like, honestly, that needs to be tackled. And another thing, too, that I was be dying to see is Atlantis, as well as the Bermuda Triangle in Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have been a fan of all these things about the Bermuda Triangle, and I've been dying for a proper representation, something that's good enough to be connected with that, like for the Doctor,
Yeah.
I mean, or Atlantis even. I mean, I'm dying for that stuff.
Mhm.
And we don't get that. Like, they don't even dare. I mean, even Matt Smith wanted to go to Atlantis. He said.
Yeah.
He even said the dinosaurs and stuff, too. I mean, that's just, I'd rather see that than spoonheads and like, memory crabs. I mean, Bermuda Triangle, absolutely. That would be an awesome story. Could make a whole damn season out of it, actually. Could be an alien race that's trying to create some type of thing that's connected with the Earth, and it's like.
Well, like you said, the PW being the cause of Atlantis sinking or something.
Yeah.
Well, they could
really cool.
They could have tied the silence in with the alien abduction whole thing, and they missed an opportunity there.
Yeah.
I think, because they're kind of close in appearance with the eyes and the head and everything.
True.
And I mean, we had the Loch Ness monster in Terror of the Zygons, right?
Right.
And
They could do Bigfoot.
yeah, we had the Yeti, but
Yeah.
not Bigfoot. Sasquatch, yeah. So did they reference Atlantis in something in one of the
They
episodes?
said something about it.
Okay.
I'll find it. I know what I've got a vague idea what.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's
Oh,
definitely.
and by the way, that reminds me, did we ever figure out what episode it was that John Pertwee's doctor saluted?
Brigadier.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to find out which one.
We need
I'm telling you, I could have sworn I saw that.
We
I
need
could
to
be wrong.
get like an award for that.
Cooper went.
Atlantis was actually featured in 2 episodes. It was the Damons with John Pertwee and the Underwater Menace with Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, I thought the Underwater Menace. I wasn't sure if the other one was like Time Monster or something like that. I wasn't sure.
It was also in the Time Monster. Yeah,
Oh.
actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, that I came on the back end of what you were reading with your article there, Connor. That sounded great, and I agree with you. Philip Hinchcliffe's era of Doctor Who obviously was like the golden years, and it would be nice to see them going back to that gothic sort of feel instead of the John Nathan Moffat years with what they're doing, with what he's doing. Moffat, that is.
Yeah.
Because like Doctor Who was really good in that time with like it created atmosphere. That's what Doctor Who's always been great with, is like when Doctor Who is in its like top form, and let's pick the Baker years for example. The first 2 seasons, it was very atmospheric. You had sci-fi mixed with a little bit of horror going on, and it was a little bit dark. But the Doctor wasn't necessarily really dark. It was the circumstance. Like you had like Image of Fendal, Talons of Wing Chiang, Seeds of Doom. You had like these different episodes that mixed a little bit of horror, and I think that Doctor Who operates really well when they use those elements. It's very successful, and I would love to see Moffat lean more into that realm of things. Try something different, Moffat. Go in that area. Get out of the fantasy world and get more into the gothic world, if you will.
Steampunk, if you will.
It's steampunk.
Yeah. On that note, any closing thoughts, guys? Because it's going to be time for me to go to sleep. That's it?
No.
We're out? All right. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye for now.